Morning guys, so you join me here on a journey in Norbury on the high street, maybe like a mile into the journey, and since we're early in the video, why not give me a like, subscribe and share. But this morning, last night I heard it was going to be foggy, so I thought it'd be quite cool to film, but once I actually got out, I don't think it had all gone, but the sky was looking quite nice, so it's not quite the same, but it was kind of like pink and orange. But the temperature has dropped so much. So I had gloves on, but I had the fingerless ones, or the ones I'd made into fingerless gloves. But just like a mile into my journey, my fingertips were getting so frozen. It was unbelievable. So thankfully I've got another set of gloves, so I've put them on top, and I thought it was a good time to start the video. I don't think we're going to do any necessarily like alternate ways to get to work today. I think it's just going to be trying to get there as quickly as possible, get out of this cold. This morning is the second day of my first aid training. It's a 3-day course, and on the third day we're going to be doing the test, and I'm hoping that I remember all of it. I doubt that very much, but I'm hoping I remember most of it, or enough to pass. Right, this is the last working week before the Christmas break at my workplace. Again, I was trying to leave at 7:30, but it never happened. I saw my mum was awake and wanted to talk to her about something, and then I wanted to talk to her about welcome to Derry. Then she wanted to talk about something, and then in the end I was leaving out at the usual time, around about 7:45. Yeah, when I was saying it's colder today, there's a building behind my house. It's like an alley between my garden and this building, and you can see on their flat roof that it was really frosty, whereas that wasn't the case yesterday and the day before. You can see to my right, you guys can't see it, but it is, you've got Streatham Common, and you can see that it is still a bit misty over there. I don't know if it's like once everyone gets up, gets out, starts driving, I guess it obviously is later in the day or the morning. I guess I'm wondering if if anybody knows, put it down in the comments, if all the vehicles, all the emissions of CO2 they're emitting, warming up the environment, the local environment. But yeah, I was hoping to get the fog. There was, I don't know if it was early this year or last year, I remember I was riding to work and it was quite foggy. And it's always quite impressive, but see, you've got to be very vigilant and safe as well at the same time. Since you're the distance you can see is reduced, so notice like being carefree and just taking certain things for granted. We call them motorhomes, so in the States they call them RVs in the UK, or at least in London. So rare you see them. I saw an article last night about Wandsworth Common. So it's an area that I've passed through and I can pass through to get to work. And it was about cyclists getting fined for speeding. And my immediate thought was, the vast majority of cyclists have no idea what speed they're going. They just have to kind of guess. Well, they don't have to kind of, they do have to guess. Okay, I was going to go there, but yeah, my ped rider's in the way. Yeah, so I was thinking they have to guess. And when I read the article, it said that very thing, that, you know, they have no idea what speed they're going, so is it truly fair? I mean, the concerns are truly legitimate. Spaces where you have pedestrians and cyclists and speed, and where you have pedestrians who aren't necessarily expecting somebody to be travelling at a certain speed, and not being able to stop. I mean, sometimes you can just be going really slow, and if your brakes are screechy, just you braking can like alert somebody, make them like shock them a bit. So here comes, I can see in the distance, you can see it's a bit, or maybe you guys can, I don't think you can, I think it's a bit far from the camera. It is a bit foggy up ahead. Like from a roundabout, maybe it's not quite here. You can actually see the top, quite a bit of the top of the Shard, that's how tall it is. strip in Wandsworth Common that you can cycle along. Maybe a solution would be to actually have a cycle lane and then have a pedestrian lane, and that could involve paint. The cheapest form of work just be painting a line and painting the surface so that it's very clear what is the cycle lane and what is the pedestrian path. I mean, the honest truth is you still get people who walk in cycle lanes even when they're highly visible and then look all puzzled that there's a bike coming towards them or behind them or past them. I mean, I think from my experience, this is usually on shared zones. So, like where I live in Croydon, near to Croydon College, you have a bike lane on the pavement. Actually, there's a few places like that, and you tend to usually find people walking in it. And it really puzzles me because you've got meters and meters and meters of pavement, of width for pavement for pedestrians to walk in, and you'll find someone walking in the cycle lane of all places. Cyclists who fell foul of his bylaw of Wandsworth Common were receiving a £50 fine. But I think, if I remember correctly, I think they're now saying that they're looking towards education. Education rather than punishment. But sometimes I think generally in this country there is a lot of like, oh, you know, let's punish people, and I think sometimes there could be the mode of more like educating people. So I've probably said this before in a video, but I think that there should be education for children in cycling proficiency, and it should be open to all children. All children at school. Even if they, so you know, if they go out, they choose to go out and ride a bike on the road, they have a skill set of how to ride safely, to understand signalling, to understand situations that could be dangerous for them, such as going alongside a vehicle turning round the bend, say like on the inside, and then getting crushed unfortunately and dragged and all of that. And then I feel even if they choose not to be a cyclist, hopefully, and obviously you can't guarantee it, this training that they receive hopefully would instill an idea of what it is to be a cyclist, what cyclists go through, and hopefully being a safer, more considerate and understanding motorist in relation to cyclists. know, things like understanding that the cyclist might be tired, the fact they're going up a hill, that they're not going to be able to go as fast, the fact they might be battling a headwind. So I'm going to make one slight alteration to this route. So usually if you follow these videos on a regular, you'll know that I take this first right really all the time, but I'm just going to go straight ahead. So this brick house with the wood, no, not that one actually, these two modern houses on the left, they both featured on Grand Designs. Yeah, it's very rare that I take this turning, the last right, but it takes me to the same place. It's obviously just a later turning. But I remember when the glass, kind of like almost like a sugar cube design house was the first modern one, and then it seems it kind of set a precedent for free over self-builds. The last 2 days I've turned right here, but today I'm just going to go straight ahead. This Santa hanging off the front of the building on the left seems to be the thing this Christmas. I've seen quite a few around. Currently at the moment in Croydon, in the box park, or on the box park, they've got I think it's supposed to be about 12-foot tall elf on the shelf, which somebody pointed out that elf had a first-class train ticket, and they didn't believe that elves would go first class. They felt that they would enter a more like standard class. So yeah, it's a bit more misty here in Brixton. I really like this this property here with all the greenery around it. I feel like you see that kind of thing here in Lambeth, like around some of the bases of the trees. You'll see where they've created a flower bed. And then there's a variety of different flowers, I think usually wildflowers. I mean, there is one such example that I've seen in Croydon like that, where somebody had planted sunflowers. And we did used to have a scheme and I believe it was just specifically Fulton Heath, where I live, where all flower beds made out of scrap wood, and it was agreed that say like a resident or a school or a business would take care of them, so they would water them on a regular basis, and it was just an idea to make the area look nicer, create some a sense of caring about the area. Unfortunately, there was someone or some people who kept vandalising them, which is really annoying, to put it mildly. And stuff like that just creates such a negative feeling that there's no point doing anything in an area. You know, you get this whole feeling of, you know, why should we bother? People keep doing this. And you know, sometimes it can literally be one person doing it, but like those flower beds, it could be something that brings a lot of joy, positivity to a lot of people, vastly more people, and then that one person, for whatever reason, decides to go and do that, vandalize that thing, and kill or destroy, diminish that idea that an area is worth it. It's worth caring about outside of, you know, sometimes like you can live in an area and you can be like, okay, I'm in my house and I just care about my property and everything outside, you know, why bother? And I think generally that is the sentiment in Croydon, because things have gone downhill so much. People have lost faith. I mean, there's various different reasons. I think my town sadly does, it does sometimes lack a sense of community. I'm actually hoping to be able to stop at a light soon, because my knee is getting a bit cramped, my right knee. I mean, obviously I could stop anywhere, but you know, it's kind of like the best reason to stop. turn left here into Trafalgar Square. Sorry, not Trafalgar Square, Albert Square. Getting my squares mixed up. But today I'm just going to go straight ahead. Okay, so my wish is coming true again. I'm going to get to stop. Okay, I'm not going to get to stop. Spoke too soon. Can't even see the tops of the towers in the distance in Elephant and Castle. Because you can't quite see the top of the buildings, but some of them, the way the light is reflecting off of them, it's like something out of I don't know, his Dark Materials or Lord of the Rings. It's quite ethereal. today, I think I'm going to turn right instead of left once I get to this side of Covent Garden. Looks like Chanel has something here. I have to go and have a look. So if you're a big fan of Guinness, the new Guinness Experience has recently opened and the shop's just here on the left. And then as we turn the corner, we've got one of the restaurants. I think there's supposed to be about 3 or 4 restaurants. And there's a microbrewery and a tour of the whole experience, but they don't brew Guinness, they brew other drinks there.
Hold up, give way.
I didn't think he was going as fast as he was. At least he was really polite about it. To be honest, a lot of this journey I've been going like a lot slower than I usually am. I've been using like a lot more pedal power and it's taken it quite easy. So that's my little cheeky movement. Otherwise, I'm just like sitting there for ages, waiting to turn right to get here round by the Shaftesbury Theatre. You'd think, since usually I'm not able to get the whole journey from home to work in one go, I would have been going faster, but I don't know, I'm just kind of feeling, I guess, a bit more chilled this morning about the journey anyway. I mean, if we don't get it, then we don't get it. I feel like she looked surprised that I'd stopped. But as I said, I've said in another previous video, there's a lot of people who, when, say like if I stop and then the car stops, same side as me or the opposite side, I'll see them like put their hand to thank the driver, but there'll be nothing directed towards me as a cyclist, even if sometimes also I'm the one who actually stopped first. I have to say, this Prius in front. It's like the first sexy Prius. They weren't actually going to bring it to the UK. They'd stopped selling, or they'd said they were going to stop selling the Prius, and that generation, the current one, was only going to be sold in certain regions. I think maybe the USA, I would assume probably Japan. And I don't know what prompted them to change their minds, because I think sales are quite low, because to be honest, it's really, you know, you kind of think it's really Uber drivers who buy Prius now. I don't think we even got the first generation of Prius. Like, it's very rare that you see it. I remember when I was at uni, we came down to London from Bloomsbury to the Excel Centre, and there was a first generation Prius, and I remember one of the other students saying, "What's that?" And we were doing a transport design course, and someone was like, before I could even say, they're like, "It's a Prius." But yeah, I think in the UK we were introduced to the second generation. But as you know, guys, it's the end of the journey, and if you've enjoyed, please give me a like, subscribe and share if you're still here with me.